The difference between us is that I can feel pain.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, damn. I think that's better than any fucking stupid shit intro we're going to do. Let's just take it from there. Thanks for joining us today, Tanner.
Yeah.
Welcome to Pumpkin Hill Radio.
Thanks.
I'm your host, Travis Wormwood. Got my co-host here, Dawson Trailer, and a special guest, Tanner, do you want to...
Tanner Padlo.
Do you want to introduce yourself in any way? I can say a little bit about you, or you just... I don't know.
Yeah, my name's Tanner Padlo. Artist, musician, demonologist.
Demonologist. That's basically
just
what I have down today.
Enthusiast for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Nice. Well, thanks for coming on. Every week on Pumpkin Hill Radio, we dig into esoteric topics, paranormal mysteries, high strangeness of the highest order, the weirdest shit we can find around the web. We've talked a lot about demons in the past, so I wanted to just land on a full demon episode today and just go from there. I want to welcome listeners to the Cult of the Star Mother. That's the cult you enter just by listening. You enter the audio contract and you're in the cult now. You can go in further layers of the cult by going to patreon.com/pumpkinhillradio. You can also go to pumpkinhillradio.com and we have the website now. So you can just go there.
We have the domain.
We have the domain. Nobody can steal that from us. And
try.
Become a Patreon. We only have 4 slots left in the $1 tier for our you're going to get at least two monthly bonus episodes on that Patreon, plus a sticker and some other good stuff. Only 4 spots left on that $1 tier. Then it becomes a $5 tier with all the same benefits. It's worth $5, even more than that, but it's a $1 tier for the first 10 people. So good luck out there. Good luck getting in. It's filling up fast. Okay, we only opened it up a month ago, and it's already at this point. I also want to say, email us at pumpkinhillradio@gmail.com. Any of your stories, any tales of high strangeness, any questions about this, or episode topics you want us to cover. I think with that, we can just open the floor here. We usually started off with a little bit of horror this week. Now, honestly, Dawson and I have recorded like 3 episodes this week, so I think we've like expended our like horror this week. Besides just that, we've been doing this a whole fuck ton. It's become a ton of my life. I don't know if that's horror, but it's just like the lighting. I don't know if anybody notices the lighting that took. It's not even great, but it's just slightly better than last episode, huh? So that's something that we've been figuring out. Me and Dawson took it. Here's horror. We went to Walmart together.
Yeah,
for the first time
dude,
since we were
like 9. Or no, it was early. It was like 8 p.m.
Felt like midnight.
It was crazy.
It was literally like it's probably the first time we went to Walmart together since we were like 15.
Yeah,
so it was just strange. We got some good lights though. One in front, 2 in back.
Lights.
Gonna learn how to situate those better. You know, there's always improvements, but
Cool guy helped us out. Tried selling us phones for a sec.
Yeah, some like
cool
guy.
Yeah, you know, only like $70. You walk away with a phone, and we're like, no, man.
He got so bashful once he turned.
Oh shit! Sorry, I'm sorry. I just have to.
Try to like pump him up a little bit.
You're good, man. Keep up that sales pitch. You got it. Just be confident.
It's like I know you're. Yeah, I don't need a phone though.
It's probably like like some 22-year-old dude.
What a miserable job.
Like trying to sell phones in Walmart.
The back of Walmart. Nobody's there for a phone.
We're there for lights. He's trying to sell us a phone.
What kind of phone you got?
Yeah.
Like, you gonna jump me, bro? No.
Yeah, I got a good phone.
Tanner, since every guest we bring on, we have like a little mini interview. I know you have kind of a long history with studying demon stuff, some DMT stories, some like death related experiences. First off, most important question though: hottest monster cannot be humanoid.
Any universe?
Any. Good question. It is any universe. Yes.
Not humanoid makes it tough.
Well, some would say.
Yeah. I don't know. You might have to give me a second on that.
You can. Yeah. While we think about that, do we want to talk about? I don't know. What got you into like demonology, demonography, like this study, or like that half of the coin?
I tried to think back to like the earliest moments of my life where it was like, Satan's where it's at. I had a couple. One, I was a very small child and I was in the top bunk. I was, maybe like about 3 or 4 years old, and I fell out of the top bunk and I didn't hit the ground. I fell out of the top bunk. I was on my little kid dinosaur blanket. It was blue. It had like orange Stegosaurus on it. And
Hell yeah.
I fell off and just gently floated down to the ground.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh, sick.
without a scratch, without any injury. I think that was like the first paranormal experience I had with it. And then it just took off from there. There's like a picture of me a year later dressed like a devil for Halloween. And,
You were
Someone was like guiding
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
something.
Some
Did
guard
you-
over you.
Kind of always been pointed in that direction for
That's
sure.
sick.
Would you like ever venture to guess like at what that particular spirit was, or do you just think it was like
I've tried,
overarching?
like as far as like was it the dead relative, somebody looking out for me, somebody, guardian angel or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do strongly believe in guardian demons.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if
cool.
there's guardian angels, there's guardian demons, and it's like
yeah.
Same.
It's they're you just talk to certain people, not everybody, but if like who would want to talk to everybody? You're not selling phones at Walmart.
no, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so I was like, okay, I'm gonna start. I'm like a light demonologist, right? Like I've always studied sigils and stuff. I'm way more of a chaos magician, so I just dabble in like way too many pantheons to like get too bogged down in one. But like I definitely fuck with it. But I was like, okay, I want to like really get into the roots here because I'm bringing like someone on that knows their shit. It was cool. I was like talking back and forth, and I was like, okay, well, you're immediately bringing up stuff that I'm not even thinking of researching, which is cool.
Fuck yeah.
Just like get that range there. But so like I'm like just like everything, we are in Mesopotamia, right? That's like where my research starts, basically.
Go to the most ancient.
That's like every like without fail, everything just links back to about 6,000 years ago. And then if you want to know more about that, check the Patreon. The December's Patreon episode is actually about pre-Ice Age civilizations. It honestly got so bogged down in this episode, I had to create a second episode that's based off of like Nephilim-based giant magic that I just couldn't even.
It's Thoracitru.
Yeah,
It's like the dark side of Norse mythology.
Yeah, okay.
So the Thoracitru.
Thoracitru. Maybe that's another
So
episode for us to dig
what's
into.
that?
The core two. It's basically like worshiping the giants from
Oh,
Norse
shit.
Yeah,
mythology.
yeah.
Instead of the gods from
That's
Norse
so-
mythology, it's Norse Satanism.
Well,
So, like,
yeah.
pretty much every one of these cultures has like some sort of fucking giant mythology, basically.
Well, and that's why I usually look toward Loki, because Loki's a son. He's a half giant, right? He's like the culmination of divinity and like this giant blood, right?
Well,
And
Loki was
just a giant,
Loki wasn't half giant. He was
a full giant baby.
He was full
Taken by
full Asgardian. That's true. But like Fenris, like he had sex with the giant and like fucked a lot of stuff up biologically. By putting his thing where it didn't belong. But
Promiscuous.
yeah.
Damn. Okay, that's definitely like maybe a separate episode that we'll have you on for.
Hell, his daughter. And...
Yeah. I mean, because there's like he has a whole bunch of like, he literally has Hell as a daughter. I mean, what does that mean for like Christianity as a whole? Like, where does that even come from? Like, it just like it becomes bogus immediately.
Hell tattooed on the back of the hand.
Well, let's roll back a little further back to Mesopotamia for a while. Because that's like, and like before that, we look at pre-Atlantean stuff, pre-like Sumerian stuff, and then on this side of things, like demonology and like specific like Arabic demonology and stuff, they look at like pre-Adamite, pre-Adamic civilizations, which is the idea that like Adam was the first like man that like was created, but there was these like proto-humans and different like things moving around the world with or without souls that basically
different
like
experiments,
like David's like that's where like Lilith and everything kind of comes from, which we will get into a little bit later. But Mesopotamia. We have something called the Utukku and the Alu, right? A lot of times in Mesopotamia, these so-called demons are actually seen as morally neutral forces. They're not like inherently evil, just like I'm sure Tanner, like
most things,
right? Like if they're nothing's like just like evil for evil's sake. I don't really think.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the Luciferian side.
Yeah. So the Utukku are spirits of dead and the dead in ancient Mesopotamian belief systems who retain consciousness after death. These entities could possess living beings and were frequently associated with both physical and mental illness. They also were known to reside in the underworld known as Urkala. And like the underworld was also seen as like the underworld and like the cosmos were seen as like pretty much one and the same then too. Like we have this idea of like hell being like this like Christian idea of like hell that's sort of like beneath your feet almost, and like heaven's like above you, and it was all the same thing for them basically.
To touch on that, hell is a place and a state of mind.
Yeah.
So definitely anybody that's been there would agree.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can like
you like know people. You're like, oh, you're in hell right now.
You can like create that for yourself, and that's all part of like this magical experience on like Earth of like this like these magic systems we talk about overlaid over like the cosmos is like you can basically summon these things in your own head,
It's
and
different. Like, well, even like state of mind, but it's also like another like state of like reality almost. You know what I mean? Like almost like if you want to like get like to the interdimensional shit, like there's other like dimensions laid over our own that we just can't perceive. So it's like it's all happening like at once, maybe. I don't know if I'm just making that up, but
no,
it seems like something.
Yeah, well, it's like the psychic tattoo thing, right?
Yeah,
Like overlaid over each other.
Yeah.
Mesopotamian medical texts describe the Utukku as both beneficial and harmful forces capable of entering human bodies. Right, so like classic like possession, basically, right? Like right off the bat for like human experience, where like the first time cuneiform writing is established, like some of the first writings are like demon containment type spells, ways to like work with these things, ways to harness their power. It's pretty much the first writing we have, right? Priests of ancient Mesopotamia developed elaborate exorcism ceremonies to remove Utukku from possessed individuals. Ceremonies required specific incantations, rituals, objects, things we still use today, precise timing based on astronomical observations, basically the same way we work with spells in right now. So that's like another thing we talk about is like sending messages through time, and how do you get this knowledge like 10,000 years in the future? And it's like these basic tools have come all through this way, and like use them in which way you will. But like, what kind of tools do you use on like a daily basis, would you say?
Daily basis, probably just pencil, guitar. Definitely, everything that I've ever asked for to receive is like gift from doing any kind of evocation or demonic worship has been just for inspiration. The ability to wake up and actually like have a purpose for that day. I think if you ask a lot of people, what's the most important thing in your life, or like what's your reason for being, a lot of people are going to say my children. But like, so fuck what, animals have kids. So like if you're not creating or like pushing to inspire, in Luciferian it's called like the internal black flame. It's that spark, the
totally
the serpent,
this thing that would like
Promethean fire.
So that's what drew me to it, and like keeps me in it, that like constant thing. And I have reminders of a Moldavite, which is Lucifer's crown stone when he fell to earth. Little sigil of Lucifer, stuff like that. So
that's like your daily wear. I see with it every day.
Constant reminders. Yeah, I never take that off.
Yeah.
So
that's badass.
Keeps me in that mindset.
Totally. You're right about like creation is like the thing that separates us from animals, and it's the thing that separates higher and like higher plane of existence beings from like lower existence beings, right? These like on different like higher and lower planes. Like the higher you get, the more you can create. Like it's in your mind at first, and it's like summoning stuff, and it's like you're creating whole universes if you're on this like God plane, basically. But and that goes to like creating the hell in your mind. Like you are a spiritual being enough to where you can create that in your mind.
Yeah.
And you have enough power to create that for others. Even.
Yeah.
It's just
every person is divine.
Yeah. You're creating your own, paradise or like hellish, whatever you want it to be. You can like create it, and then like that, like the people closest around you, like reverberates into them, and then that like reverberates out from there, and it's like it's either gonna like it's like that like idea of like vibration, where like it's gonna like cast out people that aren't hitting that vibe, and it's gonna like attract people in that like do. I think I fully believe that. I don't know. Then whatever. Yeah. Anyway. Anyway. Fucking
no. That's like tangents are fine. Like we're just like talking about like the metaphysical aspects of the world is something that just constantly comes up here, just because that's like what all this stuff basically is. In the first millennium BC, this is like Utukku are pretty established at this point. They're like working with them. Then something comes up called the Alu, right? About 2,000 years after Utukku they kind of build at the same capacity, but Alu are seen as, because Utukku are like not just malevolent, but they are seen as like, but they're not, they're like good and bad, right? They can be whatever. These Alu are seen as just agents of chaos, right? These there are specific practitioners, like human practitioners, that are called Esipu, who use rituals in Mesopotamia to communicate with these chaos demons, basically, which seems like some of the first forms of like true, just like even like really getting into something that is like like chaos is not a form for good or evil. It's mostly just a creation form, right? So it's like harnessing that for how you want to move through the world with that. The Alu also represented Dacia like this specific classes of sleep related supernatural entities.
Shit,
So
man.
how often do we talk about sleep paralysis? I ended up
Yeah.
yeah, like it was hard to even like contain where this research was going because at the
Yeah,
end of this, by
yeah.
the way, Tanner, what he's here for, he wants to talk about like deals with the devil and like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
so-called like crossroads, like that whole like yeah, building your creativity and like using entities outside yourself to like build that up within yourself, sort of. Right? Maybe that's what you're here for. I have like a lot of stuff, but like every time we do this research, I just start at the beginning. So I'm like, I guess Mesopotamia.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
There's like all kinds of. So that's just to say there's now they're introducing like sleep paralysis demons, which we talk about all the time. How do you feel about like sleep paralysis demons? So there's like that's not the same like demon connotation to you, is it, or is it?
It could be. I feel a lot of it is environment, as well as like a mindset, and then what you bring upon yourself. You know, as far as sleep paralysis, it's been researched to death. You know, it's like waking up from a dream. But like we were talking earlier, like death experiences. You know, I had a very hard time getting sober. I was drinking so much that when I got sober, it actually killed me. And I remember it like so fucking clearly that I died, and I was like, all right, like I'm supposed to be in hell. I need to be in hell. So like I felt like anxious, like I had to get there. And I remember like pounding on the gate, like let me in, I belong in there. And walking into this room, it was kind of like a family style, like large table, big beautiful chairs, all ornate walls, like everything was in this dim red light. There were these shadows, couldn't see like any facial features, but there were these shadows, and it felt like just like you guys welcomed me into here, going home for a birthday party or something like that. You know, it's like you've been gone a really long time. We've missed you. How have you been?
Nice.
You know, it's like the warmest, most incredible feeling. And I did a lot of after being resuscitated and stuff like that, did a lot of research on like what I experienced and how to get back there. Because it was the best, like most comfortable, warmest feeling. You know, like being in hell. You know, it's like people get talking about. But no, it was like being home, and it led me to think that like I had a greater purpose. Maybe I'm something else inside of this body. You know, like all that stuff about being reborn and just forget what you're supposed to be, and and stuff like that. But after that, definitely like try to do like a lot of evocation rituals. I've researched everything, man. What I found out that works is like I was saying, in an environment. So I have a altar set up, altars facing west, Lucifer West Tower. The way that I do it, did it before, is I would just do like a lot of blood, natural blood, big gashes in my arms and stuff from ritual knife that I used, and you know it's definitely frowned upon by family, girlfriends, stuff like that. So
No, I think use anything at your disposal.
Yeah,
if you're like a blood magic user, like then go about that.
The elixir of sacrifice.
Yeah,
so like blood is like
I think that had a lot to do with attracting attracting them, at least getting an attention, you know, like, hey, I'm willing to do myself, I'm fucking serious about this. You know, like show yourself to me. Let's you know
talk.
Well, yeah, we're talking about like humans being spiritual beings, like you have the power to call and to like that's why like when they say like priests like exercise shit, it's because like a human does have the power to like sort of like deny like that presence or call it forth, right? So like it depends on like how the practitioner like like how that is applicable in the real world, and like that all is like I'm with the pretense of like how you believe shit too, because like it's all like two sides of the same coin that seem to all just be the same thing anyway. Like,
well, because it sounds like the way you talk about like demons and stuff is similar to like how I've heard other people talk about like angels, where it's like they're guiding you in certain ways, like especially with like the NDE kind of situation where like people die and then they're like, yeah, I'm like surrounded by these like beings that like it felt like coming home for the first time, and like I never really like a place I like. Yeah, you like don't remember, but it's like when you're there, you're like, oh yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the
And
real one.
specifically that warmth you're talking about,
Yeah.
that's very interesting. That's like
Mhm.
so like when you go into like lower levels, you hit like cold spots, right?
Yeah.
And when you go into these like higher levels, it's usually like warm. It's not like boiling. You're not like
Yeah,
it's not like
no.
it's not like the quote unquote
It's like a
flames of hell.
cozy
It's like a warmness.
warm.
Like it's almost been
The
like
womb almost.
yeah, it's this warmness. Like
you know,
well,
right?
they talk. Yeah, no,
The
you're
perfect
right.
temp. Like,
That perfect temp, right? Like reddish perfect temp. It's
Yeah,
sort of like
dude.
womb-like, right?
Yeah, exactly.
you're just like tapping into the next like.
But
Next
it's like you
one.
look at like alien abduction things. Usually you're seeing it's like sort of like it's very cold and like
Yeah.
wet, you know, and
Mhm.
like you're just like it's like very like unfeeling in that way. So like to say like you're going to hell and also it's like that warm. It's like yeah, that means you're like it's family down there. Then you know that's cool. That's what I was like reading a lot about that. Just like temperature of things. Yeah, you hear about like ghosts going through somebody and it's like oh I feel like cold spot. 'Cause it's like they're moving on this like lower plane now, sort of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or like how you see lower and higher aren't even
like,
the right words
And
for them,
I've
really.
had a lot of like hospitalizations and being institutionalized and stuff for suicide attempts trying to get back there.
Yeah.
That's how much.
It's like a sweet feeling.
That's
yeah.
how much
yeah.
it meant to me. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Dude, you gotta just wait.
You
for,
keep
you
coming
gotta
back.
Just wait for the natural.
You just keep coming back because they're like, nah,
Yeah.
you got more to do here, man.
Yeah,
That's the secret. Yeah, it's like,
gotta tell you guys to do about it.
Fuck, man.
I'm in a suicide pack right now.
Yeah, that's maybe it.
The minute this podcast ends,
Not enough.
we're
Yeah.
killing ourselves.
We're going home, guys. Sorry.
I meant this podcast as a
Sorry.
not this episode. Right? This will be the last episode.
Yeah.
So
You won't.
just to like bring it back to the Alu, right? These like sleep paralysis demons from Mesopotamia, basically. They would come to victims in their sleep, victims, whatever. It depends on how you would see that. They create sensations of being crushed or suffocated. So that even goes up to a lot of like Victorian times. You'll have these pictures of like little golem creatures sitting on the chests of people and things. That's just like a classic, like fucking just like demon sign. And like, yeah, maybe I'm like wrong for even trying to consider them different from regular demons because it is all like it's probably all just like 1/4, right? Like wearing different skins. We talk about that sometimes too. It's hard to.
I think they'd be all unique.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
There might be.
I think it's like a individual basis too. Like everyone's gonna have like a different type. You know what I mean? Like
that's when they really started. There's recordings of like shadow figures are starting to be recorded now in this like first century BC Mesopotamia. Now shadow forms, myths manifestations are like a separate thing they're writing about, and then like animal transformation is like a third thing they're saying. And then the fourth thing they're saying is like human form, like deception, basically. Is like that's all was documented way back then. It's like forms of like demons or things coming into the world, right? Or just like being
kind of like skinwalkers in a way.
Sounds like everything. Like how many times we talked about animal like transformation in the past 10 episodes? It comes up every time. Our whole Christmas Santa episode was like he's fucking he's a satyr. He's a wild man satyr. It was like the whole fucking episode. All right, so now we're in Sumeria, right? We're still pretty ancient. I don't know how it's
still pretty ancient.
I promise there's some stuff about musicians somewhere down here.
Literally.
Sumerian demonologists organized supernatural entities into distinct categories. This is the first time that we're seeing basically like ancient ideas of like what the Goetia would, or like the Goetic, or whatever that else shit is. We'll get into that. Like Solomon's Key, all those like demons, like these like there's certain legions, and
that's where like the sigils really start coming.
Yeah,
in,
well, so this is like the first time they're being like categorized and like power levels are being ranked. You know, you get to see there's the Udug that served as ghost-like entities that could interact with the physical world, right? We have something called the Lama, which acted as guardian spirits assigned to protect individuals or places. We have the Gala, functioning as underworld demons responsible for maintaining cosmic order. Again, that's where they're cosmic and like underworld are like the same in this aspect. And like they split that apart like 1,000 years ago. Like that's supposed to like the idea of like heaven and hell being like this cosmic like place above the clouds and hell being this like fiery pit. Like that's not, it should be more of this like it's the same thing to me at this point. It seems like there was like a split there where like it was the underworld being also in control of the cosmos. It seems like at some point somebody wrote that like heaven controls the cosmos instead, right? It just feels weird about that. Then we also have the Mushusu, excuse me. These are manifestations of dragon-like entities serving higher power. Dawson, recall that one episode where we kind of The Saturn worship episode where we decided that the only thing to get out of the cubic worship was through the circle, the Ouroboros, the dragon, right?
Yeah,
That's where we
yeah.
look at like these ancient, like epic dragon entities, and we have like a whole list of them, right?
There's a lot of dragons in like Luciferian.
That's what it is.
lore as
He's
well.
like the
There's,
dragon, right?
Taninaber. Then there's Tiamat.
Tiamat's like the my homegirl for sure.
Jormungandr. Like
Yeah, that's like all these,
Yeah.
and like what they can be seen as is these like circles, right? These timelines where like it's eating itself, it's reoccurring, it's remanifesting, but it's like beyond this like square shape. It's outside of that.
Mhm.
It's like this circle was there before all these other entities came in and started putting up these like physical boundaries, like time and like space. Like
And
this time, this circle was always there.
When I'm looking for tranquility, I always like reach out for Leviathan.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's like this dragon worship. That's why we were like, I guess you just should probably take mushrooms a lot and get a ton of dragon tattoos. That was like the way to like be the most sacred. It seemed like
channel dragon energy.
Like I gotta get more dragon tats on me. I guess
Year of the dragon.
Right, and like so, each category of demon required specific methods to interact with them, like appeasements, banishment spells, or just ways to contain them. This is when the classification systems directly influence the development of these rituals. These categories formed the basis for these later demonological hierarchies found in stuff like the medieval grimoires. Basically, like this is the first time they were like, there's like higher and lower versions of this. Like people like they're not all like something's like maybe in control above all this, or so let's look at the evolution of Sumeria, and previously than that we have something called Lilitu. Sounds familiar? Kind of like Lilith? Yeah, that's because it is. Lilitu began in Sumerian mythology. She was a wind spirit associated with storms and fertility at first, right? This entity maintained strong connections to agricultural cycles and natural forces at that time. They were described specific worships practices dedicated to Lilitu, including offerings during planting and harvest seasons, right? The Babylonian period makes a significant transformation to Lilitu's nature. She's then seen as this nighttime, she has this like more of sexual characteristics. That's where we start looking at, she becomes basically like the queen of like succubi at this point. Human mythology further transforms Lilitu into Lilith, who we talk about today now. That included a complete origin story identifying her as Adam's first wife. That goes into then pre-Adamite civilizations where she was already there. She was already this creature that wasn't created by like quote unquote God, that then comes in and then is then exiled because she won't bow down to Adam at some point.
She wanted to be on top.
Yes.
During intercourse.
Yeah.
He wanted more subdued.
And that's all. Yes. And then
subservient.
She was then exiled, right, and transformed into this demon queen who just like commands all these lesser spirits, and she's like still one of the main, like as far as iconography and like sigils. She's one I see people having her sigil constantly still.
Yeah, well, her steed is ancient dragon, Taninaber. The blind dragon that shielded them from the corruption of the garden. So like Lucifer, Taninaber, and Lilith went and corrupted God's big project.
It
seemed like he just wanted a couple docile pets that didn't act or do anything funny. It's like, I don't want you to have any knowledge. I want you to just like chill out. You could be the lap dog.
Well, because it's said that like, okay, Adam is given this power to name all the creatures on the earth, right? After they were already established, though, so like he's given this. This is where like the idea of true names kind of come from in a way, like these ancient like names of what these creatures actually bend that like physical properties of them, however you would like work with them. And I guess it's just the fact of like people like Lilith and Satan and fucking all these people that were apparently already there, these pre-Adamites, like didn't want that they were just like against that basically, and then they are turned into demons. And like we go into that a little bit later, but it's in pretty much every culture and religion they have these like more and a lot of like sacred texts that even like they don't like put them in the Bible. It's like fucking these like old scrolls and shit, but it's all about fucking these demons, that these people that were living before Adam was there that then get like basically turned into demons afterward because God's like, nah, you're going down, right? That's like the Book of Enoch. That's where, okay, have you heard of the Watchers at all? That's like that's these like angels that are assigned to observe humanity in the early stages, and they begin like they hold these positions in heaven as record keepers and observers, right? And they get sent to Earth, and they are basically specific. They're like responsible, quote unquote, for the fall. Is like what they would say in like the Christian, like godly side of things, right? The Watchers made a collective decision to descend to Earth after becoming enamored with human women, is what I have here. 200 Watchers, led by their chief Samyaza, descended to Mount Hermon. Okay, this is like all very old stuff here. We're talking about them taking human wives and creating things like what were these those old have it's like demigods basically. Whatever. Yeah. So but this is like where humans then these quote unquote like these angels that come down become like fallen angels / demons, right? They then give this they become this like fire totem for humanity, excuse me, where they give information about metallurgy, weaponry, cosmetics, archery, sorcery, astronomy, agriculture techniques. This is all said to come from these specific like gods.
Promethean flame.
Yeah, it's like the Promethean gods basically. It's this information that's being given to us like against this consent of something that's watching us. I guess
light bringers.
Yeah, light bringers, even though they're like shown as being, even though they're like sided with this dark side, apparently is what it's being shown as. I don't know. You ever heard about any of that kind of shit? Do you like how far back does that go for you? Like when does your demons start?
So around the Lilith era.
Around the Lilith, because this is like what I wanted to do there was just like find where they came from, because even this like blind dragon and like Tiamat's still there, but Tiamat is also this like origin dragon in Mesopotamian lore. So I could see like Lilatu and Tiamat and like this ancient version of Satan basically all hanging out in these ancient times, and it's like not conforming and like getting their name changed a little bit at some point. That's like where they're all coming from, right?
Sure. And I would call that archetypes.
Yes.
So it can be one of the same character, just names changed over so many.
Every like religion just carries it through. Yeah. So then
translated.
Each of these watchers, specialize in specific forms of forbidden knowledge at the time, which is what I just said. Azazel taught weapon making and metal working. Amazarak taught the secrets of sorcery. Barkel revealed astrology. Kakibil shared knowledge of constellations. Tamiel explained angel observations, and Azradel taught the course of the moon, among other things. It's just like this. It's the Nephilim was the word I was looking for. These they're the Watcher and the human children, or the Watchers and the human women.
They're like
they gave birth to Nephilim.
Yeah.
Which that's like a full episode we're gonna do at some point coming up. Because we've been beating around the bush for these like giants.
It's something we reference a lot. I feel like
just like all this stuff. We're just trying to
bleed into the good none and good gap.
Yes, definitely. There's. I would love your information on that too if you have anything.
I love Norse mythology.
Yeah. I didn't like gather much of the Norse stuff on this. I folded that into so many episodes previous that I was like, let's just get some other shit in here. But it's all this. It's all like seeing like the reference to these like ancient dragons every time. I'm like, hell yeah, that's just like Jormungandr, like that circle of fucking that timeline where it's like it ends, but it doesn't end. It's just like a new beginning every time. And like a lot of these like quote unquote angelic forces are just like these misconstrued entities that are living in this current timeline, and I think a lot of like demon entities are living like beyond that, kind of in like this like more sacred like circle beyond it, as it is. So the Nephilim's quote unquote violence and corruption ultimately contributed to this the necessary Great Flood, which then like every religion and culture has. There's evidence for that all over the place. Again, the Patreon episode we did on the Mud Flood covers a lot of that too. So subscribe for that, and then. At this point, we're getting pretty close. We're getting pretty close to current times. We're at Zoroastrianism, which is one of the first. It's the oldest monotheistic religion, right? This is 1500 to 1000 BCE in ancient Persia. This is like a religion that's still going today, but this is one of the first ones that really built this like duality into it, where like Sumeria was starting to by like grading them on different points, and even in Mesopotamia when the Alu come in and seeing as more as like chaos, like that could be seen as more of this like demonic side if you're going that way. So the duality is always there, but now we have like a monotheistic, this worship of Ahura Mazda as the one true God, right? And then we have it's the evil side on that, Angra Mainya, which would be like I don't know, the devil in that one, I guess. But it's hard. Like I don't want to say like evil for any of this because that's not how we're framing any of this shit, right? It's just like that's like what the nomenclature. That's what you're like taught if you go to like if you just like were raised in like America probably. So it's just like unlearning these like ways of it too. Zoroastrianism they also built these like fire temples, right? These sacred fires that maintain this symbol of purity, but also that idea of ancient fire and this like gift of fire, basically that this like warmth, right? There's something to that that it, is all like all encompassing somehow. Thoughts on all this so far? I got some stuff on Egypt, and then I get into a little bit of the actual demonic orders, and then we can talk about, I don't know, some artists that made deals with the devil. If you want.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. But I think if you as far back as you go, you can find every religion have some right wing, left wing.
Yeah.
Instead of good evil.
It's like that duality,
like
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, just different ones.
black, white, void, sacred.
So, well, that's like even us. We're like
yeah.
we're getting like kind of pigeonholed. Like we've tried to name stuff as like sacred and void instead of like fucking good, evil, black,
bad,
white.
yeah.
But like I've been challenged so many times on every
Light,
research
dark.
to be like, what is that coin look like? Like with the Saturn worship episode, we're like, oh, is everything good actually evil in reverse? And like reverse again though? Is it a double
is it
trick?
all like
it's like
triple,
it's so
triple
mind-bending.
inverted?
Yeah.
Fucking what the fuck?
So then I'm like, that's where I'm just like, oh, it's all like that's the same thing.
It's
like
so
just wearing these different
blurry.
suits.
Yeah. It's so blurry.
Or they're just like what you're saying. They're just all different, and like none of them are like inherently good or evil. They just all have their own plans,
serve their own
of.
purpose.
Is that what are you? Yeah,
I think there's conscience and living virtuously and you know, being a good person.
Yeah,
it's like
would pertain to anything. Depending on like you know what the background is, where you're coming from, and stuff like that. And absolutely, there's a right way to live your life, carry it out, treat others, and stuff like that. Yeah, you know that's more important, I think, than labeling it good or bad. Yeah. It's just like
just the true
and
the solid truth of like
that seems to be like either built into humanity or like taught to us so long ago that like it just has been given to every religion at this point. It's just like those words like that. It just sucks when like people look to like these like 10 Commandments as like, and like those are like those are like good ideas, right? But it's like those were there before like like God was yelling them down from them, or if it was like a much more ancient like establishment than like
it's like be good to yourself, be good to your neighbors.
There's so much fucking murder in the Bible.
Be good.
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to frame
nice,
like any of this episode. Like we're just talking about demons, but it's like the whole time like demons isn't even. It's just one word for it, I guess. You know, it's just maybe the catchiest word, and like it, especially if you're going to assign it to like these specifically like Solomon's key demons and things like that, then it makes a lot of sense. But it's, I guess for us, so often we're just like,
well to fit malevolence. I mean, like if they were, you know, rebelling against the God, you know, it's like rebelling against him by spoiling his creation. You know, I mean, that would be one thing, but I view God as more of the bad guy in this scenario. You know, I think of him as like more of a narcissistic, infinite power, corrupts absolutely. You know, like it's
like
kind of like a Zeus kind of a character more.
Yeah, it's just no redeemable qualities. You know, it's just like
I'm gonna go create kids, human hybrid kids,
and you know, and the vanity that you would have to everybody worship me and no false idols is just like.
Like, who
are you?
Yeah, like even it's a classic thing, but it's like even in the Bible, like it mentions other gods. It's not like there's like it's a monotheistic like religion, Christianity, but within those texts, like it's said that there are other things. He just says not to worship them, right? So it's like at that point, it's like so that's just like some guy telling me they're better than like it's just a weird like out of context. That's like that. If you look at that.
It's so insane.
There's other like purposes that they can like serve as well, you know. Or like
what's really funny is dating a PK. This is a beautiful girlfriend Mary, like her dad's pastor. It's like get into this conversation with him, man. He can't even comprehend.
We'll get him on next week. Next week. Dude, I'm looking for if anybody knows a priest that wants to come on. I have some questions for like a priest. Just hit that up. Because I mean, someone like knowledgeable and not arrogant, or like
someone that's not just like clouded by like
I would say like
the book.
Someone like book. More of an occultist priest would be good for me. But like someone that just studies the older, like I do. I got to
like a mystic.
I'm like, what's the oldest thing?
And you know, the Christian mysticism is like pretty interesting shit.
They're still out there. Probably just not some like Bible.
Or even what is it, Gnostics? Yeah, they're kind of on that where they're like the God you read about the Bible is actually like he's actually the bad guy. And these angels are actually bad, and then it's like it's all like been inverted, and they're like doing this to keep us all into like this prison planet
Hey, it's
and keep us enslaved.
Money making machine, dude.
Yeah, no, it's like that's like a really dark, cynical take on it, but it is like it does like there's like some of it does like resonate in a certain sense when you like it's not just like bogus. Like,
I mean,
it
it's
makes
not even
sense.
cynical. It's just like challenging something you've been
Yeah.
told in the past. It's not.
No,
It's
exactly.
just like,
well,
what if this, not that?
because I think on like the surface level, it's easy to take it as cynical because it's like, oh, we're all like these like creations, like created like cattle to like be slaved and like whatever, like harvested and shit.
The sheep mentality.
Yeah.
We worship.
But there's like a way, like once you break out of it, you realize like we actually all have a lot more power
Mhm.
to like break out of that ourselves, as long as because it's all like an illusion.
Become the goat.
Yeah, you
Set-
become
set-
you're
set
like
the
I'm
sheep,
actually nah.
rebel and have free will.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like every man has a wolf.
See, I like that. I like that idea a lot more.
Yeah.
than just an all-powerful God that you
Yeah.
can beg for forgiveness to. If I told you a lie
Yeah.
and felt horrible about it, that's a guilt on my own conscience,
Yeah.
my own being, and that's something that I'm gonna have to live
You
with.
have to work through that yourself.
Yeah, where if you don't, if you take on all your actions, it's like, hey, this is my responsibility. I don't feel good because I did that. There's not like.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna say a bunch of fucking Hail Marys.
Yeah. Like,
everything's cool.
You have to do work, actually. Because that's the thing. I'm sure we've all done something bad to somebody and they forgive you, but you're like, still feel shitty. You're like, no, that's not good enough. Because, like, you realize, and like, you have to, like, work through yourself and, like, redeem yourself in your own eyes. You know, like, hold yourself to the standard you, like, have built up in your own mind instead of, like, trying to, like,
what kind of God do you want
please all these this hierarchy of, like, things. It's like, nah, like, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and I didn't do that.
Just like
and I
choose
gotta
the simplest
figure that out.
truths, right?
Yeah, no,
If you
exactly.
can,
Yeah.
Don't need to get bogged down in a bunch of extra bullshit.
Exactly.
And with that, let's go back to ancient Egypt, right?
Yeah.
Talk about getting bogged
Speaking of that,
down
we're in the
and stuff.
pyramids.
This was so funny. Researching this whole episode was so funny. I can't tell you how much stuff is not in these notes.
Yeah.
I got into all these like ancient Arabian scholars, and I was just all this stuff about like because I talk about jinn all the time.
Yeah.
Speaking of like spirits, like were like pre-human. I got into all this stuff about like how jinn was actually the last of 6 different cycles of like creatures before like humanity. There was like the hin, the tin, like the rim. They were all like rhyming names basically because they all like had whatever that like suffix is like means
two
like
ends, yeah.
something whatever. But it's like and that so just like learning about all that immediately that's like a different thing. But I'm like these are these entities that then in the like Arabic text once like Muhammad and stuff comes along, there's like then all those people and like once their version of Adam comes along, like once like again like all those pre-jinn and stuff races are all just transmuted into demons basically. So I was just getting way into all this but so Egyptian priests developed detailed methods for controlling and banishing supernatural entities. Straight up, that's fucking nice, right? That sounds super fucking sick. They had like complex ritual practices, magical formulas. Obviously, look at Egyptian stuff. It's like not to like ever like exoticize anything as much, but it's just like these things that are like there's a reason that people think it's made by like aliens a lot of times. It's so like it's on this like such a higher level of seemingly consciousness, right? Their systems included
and it's so old too. It's like way older.
Well, they had the use of sacred names, so I think that at that time they still had these like Adamite names for like for everything else on Earth, basically.
Yeah.
Right. That's like their true name. They would actually use those spells. They practiced specific. Yeah, they had specific ritual tools, which again are built into what we use today. And a lot of those practices then influenced Jewish and Christian like magical traditions. So now we're in Babylonia. Now we're in Babylonian religion concepts. They detailed. That's where they really started detailing these hierarchies even more of just like all supernatural beings, like quote unquote good and evil. That goes further into like they also knew the true names, some seals and sigil magics. At this point, I bet the names are getting pretty mixed up. This is where like numbers assigned to certain letters and things. This is where like that like forbidden knowledge kind of comes into play, like almost that gatekeepiness of magic where it's like you're not going to know, I'm going to know. It's like you know
you need to know this to know this.
Yeah, like Eye of Newt in a witch's potion actually means like it's like 3 stones of magnesium. Like it's like a different it's like a different property. It's like a
one
it's
tablespoon
a secret.
of mercury.
So like you like transmit exactly. It's just transmitting that into like naming things. So they still have this. They still built the sigils and stuff. But that's when in like so now we're at a Hebrew text, right? That's where they reframe all these foreign deities, all these like jinn and stuff from every other culture into angels and demons. And subservient to what they would call this single supreme deity, this like God figure, which is who knows, iffy at best. This that process established like the most complex hierarchy of supernatural beings. That's where the demonic hierarchy developed with precise ranks of fallen angels and their area of influence. Each demon held specific powers, limitations, methods of interaction. The hierarchies included details about command and structures and the territory of influence. Again, I just said that the angels get something similar with all their functions and attributes. They have like the seraphim or the highest rank. Then you get stuff on this like cherubim. Then like the ophanims, these like the wheels within wheels. Like those are all like it's basically like the same thing on different sides, which I don't know if there's really sides of anything. It's just all like specific monsters basically that are like living on like different levels and that they can
I
like
think
manifest in.
the sides and stuff is usually just like a human construct because we're like thinking everything in like 3D basically. So it's like we project it as like almost like there's like boom, 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 like
So Tanner, have you
instead of it
done?
being
Yeah, have you done any work with
that
like
thing?
angel forces? Like, do you fuck with that at all? Like, I'm sure you've like studied a little bit at least, right?
I've seen a lot of their sigils and stuff like that, but I always go towards demonic.
Yeah, cool. Just because you feel more at home
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I'm just like
So
and
yeah,
It's what resonates.
that's so.
I mean, you did give us that like angel book.
oh yeah,
Book of Fallen Angels. Well, that's what it is with these watchers, basically,
a
right?
book of every angel, including the fallen
Yeah,
ones.
we got that,
like, that's cool.
Right out
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
It's a really
I
good
like that
reference.
that's where. So now we're in this old like Hebrew lore, basically. That's where we get stuff like the Pseudonomacria Demonorianum. Right, I did not say that right. But that's published by Johann Weyer in the 16th century.
Did not say that.
That provides a catalog of demons listed by their ranks, abilities, and how they can be summoned. Right, that's like
said it right. They just start popping up.
Yeah, like you guys, everybody listening, you're lucky that did not transmit over your radio.
Yeah,
That would nobody's ready for that.
Right.
Summon it right to your.
One thing I will say, as we get closer to talking about actually summoning these things, is like either don't or do it with caution and like knowledge. Like all these things are such specific forces. It's kind of like that genie aspect, that trickster aspect of things, where it's like you want to be pretty precise with like your movements with it. I like fucked around with Loki a little too hard at the beginning of the year, and it fucked all my shit up. And I'm like just getting reestablished. Like there's ways to do shit wrong, and like I've definitely seen that like almost firsthand. So as we get into that, so like then we get into Grimoires like the Lesser Key of Solomon. That's where we have this almost symmetry between the demons and the angels and their different ranks, right? That's where we get the concepts of lesser demons and more powerful ones again from these hierarchies. Let's see. So when you're trying to contact these things, like a lot of the lower ranking entities do require some like permissions from their superior, or like so they say. I bet you can get in there without them, right? But it's like okay, like huge side tangent, but like Aleister Crowley, when he was doing some of his deeper like 6-month rituals, he had to summon and bind like 8 different demonic forces so that he could then like talk to like this angelic force that he was like trying, not like angelic per se, but he was like trying to get through to a specific thing. And to do that, he had to like go through and like do a lot of like bureaucracy, like there's a lot of just like check in with him, get signed off by that demon, and like go to the next. Like when you get to Asmodeus, make sure you sign right there.
Yeah.
Make sure you have that herb on you when you get to like Beelzebub, because else
you need
all
the right
do it all again. Like the portal will never open. And by the way, okay, just to talk more on that, because I do have some shit on that. Specifically, I'm talking about the For those that don't know, Aleister Crowley is a maniac. We're gonna do a whole episode on him sometime. But he did something called the Abromelin. Okay. Do you know this word, Tyner? Have you heard of this one? I'm sure you have. The Abramelin ritual. This was his 6-month ritual.
Is that the one that he pushed out of? Because he almost died.
Yes, that's what it is. This is where about 6 months into this ritual, contacting all these different demon kings and things.
It's having to go through each realm because there's like different aspects of yourself that you need to do.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just like so physically grueling and exhausting that he had to tap out.
He had to tap out early, which leads me to believe that portal never closed up, right? This is like what we talk about. This is right around the time. This is like 1904. This is right around the time we get the extreme spiritualist movement coming out everywhere. Yeah. This is like right around the time like Atomic.
That's he did that in the Boleskine house, right?
Yes.
That's where like Zeppelin,
Jimmy Page
got all these fuckers.
When they're Marilyn Manson, I believe, as well. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure.
Or not Marilyn. Yeah, Marilyn Manson. Yeah. I think he has something to do with that one too.
So Alistair at that point was trying to contact what he called his holy guardian angel, which I think at that point he would also probably see that as a demon. And I don't know, like these are just terms, right? These are just labels put on something that is a 5D shape that I'm just trying to comprehend with like a 3D brain. So I was wrong. He had to evoke and bind 12 kings and dukes of hell, including Lucifer, Satan, Leviathan, and Belial. All right. So he got like not all the way through that.
Yeah.
Which scares me. Like you really got to like finish that act. That was over 6 months. That was an extremely long. As far as like most rituals, I do like daily, sounds like weekly ritual things, but it's like I don't think I've surpassed the like 6 month mark on anything. Like nothing like
nothing like that.
Nothing that I would do like a daily act for. Like he was like fully like because he had some fun to like fuck around. He didn't have to go to like 9 to 5.
Solely committed.
Yeah.
Can't leave the house.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah,
it was like that. Like the whole time he was just doing that.
So and that's like
we
like
go like get coffee and like hang out. He was like, no.
There's a really good movie about that.
Yeah, you were talking. I know. I'm like, I gotta watch where it's like this thing is happening right in front of me.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So Crowley warned against attempting to cross what he called the abyss and communicate directly with one's daemon. He called them daemons too, which he just called like personal spirits or higher selves.
Yeah.
So he just says you need proper preparation, or it's going to lead to, or these things will lead to a dark transmutation into negative spiritual state where one preys on others. So that's like what I'm afraid of happened. Like that's right around the time when we have like
like the possession and shit like that, right?
Yeah. Just to like put a label on like when all the shit got fucked up is he just didn't close the portals. Like he just didn't close the portals.
It's his fault.
Sort of. There's a couple other people around that time that are fucking with shit, but like honestly, when was Adolf Hitler born? Was it pretty close to there? Was it like between 1889 and 1904? Yeah, because that's right around when he was doing this shit.
It would have probably been like April 20th.
It was April 20th, maybe 1890.
Just like
I know his birthday, but not for that reason.
Yeah.
That's when everything fucking sucks. April 20th.
Yeah. It's beginning of Taurus season. My birthday's. It's cool. It's not a big deal.
And so this is where we get into like.
Don't give me too much power, guys.
Pretty much every like religion and culture. Especially like indigenous cultures and like some like I know like Japan has the whole like Shintoism. This idea of like demons and angels holding jurisdiction over specific geographic locations, right? So like some of them are more like mountainous or deserts or like or you go into Greek stuff where each body of water has a specific sprite. Like it's just talking about how basically every fucking thing out there has like a watcher for it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's also okay, and that's where we get into then. You're gonna like this, Tanner. Here we're finally somewhere with this. This is where we get into Crossroads. How specific demons have location over Crossroads. This location on Earth, right? This location that is like a physical and spiritual intersection. We'll get back to that in a second.
Does that have anything to do with like ley lines?
100%. I don't know how.
Where they cross
necessarily. We that's another episode we have yet to do.
Yeah.
I know the graph that scene basically puts them over anything.
Yeah.
And you know what I was digging into one time was like ley lines on like Mars and shit.
Oh,
I'm like totally like
the moon,
that's what I found.
Mars.
Yeah, like
dude.
what are the ley lines of
Venus?
It's probably has something to do with that. It's just like places of power on Earth. Like you can feel it when you go to places.
Vortexes.
It would be interesting if like the ley lines were cosmic.
Yeah.
And that would only exist when it passed.
Well, we talked about like cosmic cloud things where like certain areas of the cosmos as the Earth and like every planet is like ricocheting through them at like fucking high velocities. Like you go into these areas that are like 10 times bigger than the solar system that like we're just like flying through for like a month, and that's like why you wake up like foggy that day.
Completely different energy.
Like I'll go into work at the bar and I'll talk to like 7 people and they're all like, I had trouble sleeping this last night. It's like, so we went through a fucking cosmic cloud that like was like a little bit poisonous to us, right?
Well, you can look at like the Schumann resonance too. That's been fucked lately. So if you guys haven't been resting very well,
Dawson's just dropping a huge word we have never experienced.
Yeah, that's a new one on you.
Schumann resonance as far as that. Well, it's more just like the frequency of the Earth.
Yeah,
and really,
Earth.
What that gets into, Dawson, is more Saturn worship shit where we're talking about where every planet like sings out into the void at a specific frequency.
Yeah.
And that's basically the Earth's frequency. And you can see it getting fucked around with. And that's also. So it's all like, it's cosmic and planetary, like these like the ley lines of like reality.
Every time you have a grasp on something, it's much bigger.
Yeah. That's why I go back to the most ancient thing every time. So I'm like, where could I actually begin?
Gotta start somewhere, you know what I mean? trying to figure something out. I don't know what, but we're trying to figure something out.
Let's talk. Okay.
What else?
Do we want to talk about specifically like Crossroad, like deals with the devil, or do you want to talk about like scrying mirrors and stuff at all? Any of these like tools for divination?
So I love.
What do you do? What do you do?
I love the Crossroads stuff. Starting all the way back 17th century, Niccolo Paganini.
Yep.
Incredible violin player. He can come up with these pieces, and when he would hand it to composers, they'd be like, "You can't fucking play this. This is humanly impossible."
Mm-hmm.
But he did something that was not humanly possible. And where did it come from?
Is it still not humanly possible? Or can
people can play it now. Yeah.
Do you think
but I think like the being before the time,
Yeah.
like that's a big part of it.
Mhm.
And he supposedly back then sold his soul to the devil.
Yeah.
Crossroads, the term crossroads, I believe, actually came from Robert Johnson, and they found the physical crossroad in Mississippi. Which
There's a
which is
specific crossroad
super
there.
cool. Yeah, he would always try to play guitar and stuff like that, and sounded god awful.
I-
Disappeared, came back like an absolute
maniac on it.
Yeah,
there was other people that went to that exact crossroad to do that same shit. I was reading about too.
But see, from my experience, like I said, the dying experience, and then like cutting myself and doing like extremely exhausting rituals to kind of like sense of fatigue you could get to. I feel like Crossroads is more mental. When I was no longer allowed to die or hurt myself, started experiencing with DMT to get to the Crossroads. Just if I'm gonna die, like this is like the best way to come as close as possible to that.
Totally.
And
totally.
able to see a lot of demons there. There's also a lot of like satanic meditation. One of my favorites is like get into a super deep meditative state. Imagine walking on a trail for as long as you physically can, and at the end of it, the storm moves in, and it's like wind blowing, lightning, hail, thunder, everything's coming right at you. Look to your left, there's an old wood house. Look to your right, there's a big stone building. And you could go into either one, and then when you go inside of it, if there's an entity there, you could talk to it. That one's worked for me many times. Sometimes I pick the wooden house, sometimes I pick the stone building, sometimes there's nothing inside.
Do you think that you are creating that space in your mind that would then be real on some reality, some plane, or do you think that's always there and you're just like accessing it?
I'm not sure if I'm accessing it or creating it, but I do think that the mental crossroads is going to be something very similar to that, where you find an entity through the mindset of getting there, and it physically travels you to a place that you wouldn't be able to normally be in touch.
So do you think what was the first guy that did the like humanly impossible violin piece?
Niccolo Paganini.
So do you think there's ways to like make these deals and do these things, and then you bring these abilities back with you from that one state of mind where you like make that deal, whether it's like asleep or in a dream or whatever, during like a ritual, then you bring it back and you do this thing that was perceived as humanly impossible. You can do it, and then is that like kind of like enlightening human consciousness as a whole in that sense? Like we kind of like
you bring it back and
you bring it back like almost like a piece of the flame.
You give it back to the whole
to enlighten more people. So like people are like, oh, we can actually do that, and then like from there people can like bring more things back and expand it further and further.
Yeah, and there's another instance of Tartini doing the Devil's Trail.
He
woke up to a sleep paralysis demon sitting at the end of his bed and said, I'm going to play for you the most beautiful melody ever. Remembered it, coming back to a conscious state,
and rips it out.
Composed a piece of music with it. So that's a great piece of music. But listening to Paganini's he has 24 Caprices was his big his major opus, and that's like it's phenomenal.
Do you think that when did that come out?
1700s.
Okay, so that's not copyrighted anymore. I'm gonna try to drop that at the end of the pod.
Oh yeah.
Like after I'll have you play some stuff, and I think I'm just gonna like have like maybe 15 minutes of like random devil music, like just like people trying to like.
Maybe I'll play a little Paganini.
Yeah, dude, hell yeah.
Let's rap it, dude.
So yeah, this concept of musicians and like artists selling their like one idea. It's like they like quote unquote selling your soul to the devil. I think that's like maybe too broad. I think it's just like you can like have a conversation with them. Maybe I don't know if it's all about like.
It's like a give and take, but or Lucifer, whatever, is like the god of music. Is that a thing, or did I make that up?
You probably made that
I
up.
might have made
Well,
that.
yeah, I mean, there's like the
I might
archetypes.
have
Like,
dreamt that one then.
there's like the archetypes of like the satyr, that's like musical like wild
Yeah.
man thing, which then can be like metamorphized into some like Krampus stuff, which is like a Satan offshoot. You know, it all folds in if you go high enough. But it's like how that's
Might
like.
just be putting things.
So I will
drawing lines
say
together
that
from nowhere.
the Niccolo thing is kind of the first like musical act of this. But I did find someone named Theophilus of Adana from the 6th century, and he's considered one of the earliest like deal with the devil guys. He sought that Satan's help to become an archdeacon, right, part of like the church, and signed a contract in blood to do it. And he, by all accounts, became one. It's like secret devil worshipping church guy. That's back in the 6th century, and then it goes up to there's like Faust, which is like there's like a movie version, book version of Faust. And there's like a historical like version. This Dr. Johann George Faust from 1480. He also like just like we did like a tiny movie recap for Faust one time, but it's like just like selling your soul, making a deal to gain like riches or power
certain
or
things.
talent or whatever it is, and like either that's and that's where it's like, is that just finding it within yourself somewhere, like a higher consciousness like of yourself being able to do that, or is that like talking to an actual demon, or are those the same thing?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I think Tanner and I were like kind of talking that on the way over here, where it's like the Faust is like you're kind of asking for like these things like immediately, and you're like you want it all like now, and it's almost like in a greedy sense, where like if you're more careful, you're like you ask for like the ability to get yourself the things you want. You know what I mean? Like
that's
the inspiration, the like drive, the like.
And see, I've never asked for ability or fame. Any dealings that I've ever had, all I've asked for is just the inspiration to do it.
Which is very smart.
Because I feel like it's a big journey.
Or like the intelligence for
skipping
it.
to the end would be really fun.
That's
intelligence is a huge part of it.
Yeah,
I think,
as for the intelligence, strength, like wisdom,
and whether it's documented or not, like Da Vinci definitely was on that page. You know,
I think like Nikola Tesla was also like channeling shit like that, where it's like
he got fully deleted at one point.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's like
can't have too good of shit out there.
This like just like channeling a higher self, all that is, and that's what I like put that disclaimer up like a little bit while ago. Where I'm just like, if you're gonna do it, like do it right. Don't like it's like a monkey paw situation where it's like you got to be real specific with those wishes, or it's gonna be like not exactly what you asked for. And I say wishes because that's like
it's like wish to like
I don't know.
For like a better version of yourself to get those things, and not just for the material thing itself. You know, or like like you don't want to skip the the journey. The journey is a destination. You know what I mean? It's
also more than anything, demons don't want to talk to most people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, do you want to talk to most people? Like,
Someone just like barged into your room and was like, "Give me this now," and you're like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking fuck your shit up now.
There's a lot of being respectful as well.
Yeah.
Don't be a
fucking. You have to honor it, respect.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that could be disrespectful and it's whatever, but if you go out of your way to be disrespectful, it's like, I got time on my hands. Like, let's see.
These demons are living in like
they're like eternal things.
They don't even like
they've been around
concepts
forever.
For like how we see time.
No,
so
there's not demon road rage.
Yeah, you're getting like a fucking 5-dimensional shotgun blast to your fucking face. Like you're trespassing on someone's shit. Like.
So we got people like this like Faustian figure, this Theophilus of Adona, then Niccolo Paganini.
Paganini. Yeah.
Nice.
And I think you did a good enough job. I have like write-ups on him, but I think one thing I do want to say about Paganini, it's said that his mother also made a promise to the devil for her son's success.
Nice.
That was like a different claim, right?
That's why that's why he's so damn good.
He was even denied a Christian burial.
Damn.
Like he wasn't like they didn't bury him Christian style because like pretty fucking positive. They called him the devil's violinist.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
And there's also like a bunch of other folklore that came from that, like Jack the Butcher, when you go to battle the devil's guitar player for your soul back. You know, and it's like they made a movie about it. It was really cool. But they tied in Robert Johnson. It was looking for Robert Johnson's 29th song, and you had to battle Jack Butler, who played Paganini caprices and stuff like that. So it was a very, very interesting piece of blues folklore. Yeah, I got Robert Johnson so a little bit about him. After making a deal with the devil, as they say, Robert Johnson gained extraordinary guitar skills and became a legendary blues musician. His music had a profound impact on the genre, but he died at the age of 27
Classic.
under mysterious circumstances, which adds to his the tragic element.
And a lot of his songs, like Hellhound's on My Trail, Satan in the Kitchen, like felt like the devil was also coming back after him.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever deal he made, it was one of those ones that did not turn out right.
Sure, we didn't dot all the fucking I's.
Exactly.
Yeah, he said he went to a crossroads at midnight because there's like specific times a day, moon cycles will all affect all this stuff too. That's where he said in this story I read, it said that the devil tuned his guitar in exchange for his soul.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fucking sick. The devil just tunes you up and you just fucking rip on it then. That'd be nice, dude. Then I have so just like to name a few more people through history that like have done this. Giuseppe Tartini. Did you talk about him a little bit?
Tartini. He did the Devil's Trill. That's what I was talking about.
That was in 1713, right?
Woke up with the devil at the foot of his bed.
The Devil's Trill.
He played the thing and he like wakes up and quickly writes it down as fast as he can.
Play the most beautiful melody.
Yeah, and he still, even though it was beautiful, he expressed his loss for the original music because he could not like get it exactly how he heard it. So whatever he heard was like even better than what he did. Yeah. He was like, "Let me just try this." Then I have P.D. Wheatstraw. You ever heard of that guy? So known as the Devil's son-in-law. Back in the 1930s in the blues scene, he recorded over 160 tracks. And then he died on his 39th birthday. He went to the same crossroads. Like in fucking Louisiana. Mississippi, excuse me. He was thinking New Orleans, but that's just because like blues is out there. Yeah. He was murdered by rivals. Yeah. So I don't know. And then we have someone named Jim Morrison. Ever heard of that guy? No. He died at 27. All that kind of stuff. It's like Bob Dylan and like some of these people that are like more contemporary. It's almost like kind of more tongue in cheek, but it's also like I don't know. You know, there's something to the 27 Club for sure. Yeah. Or just like that's like when you're young and dumb enough to make these pacts without signing all the fucking documents, right? Without bringing the right shit to it.
Because it's people that like they're very young, and they reach a level of fame that's so great so fast that it's like they didn't
responsible enough to handle it.
Yeah, they didn't do the right steps, of like going down the full journey. It was like immediately. So then it's like,
and drugs, dude, it's a hell of a drug.
Hell of a fucking drug, man.
Yeah, like some psychoactive stuff, like DMT, like mushrooms and stuff, can be used to like access these planes. Some of them are just like trash products that you just destroy your body with.
DMT is not really a drug. That's just life.
That's just life. Well, even like same with like mushrooms, I guess. That's like we talked about, like the origins of Christmas is all like mushrooms, like they're red and white. Even it's just like from wild men in the woods eating it. It's like they would actually, the flying reindeer are from them, the reindeer eating mushrooms, and then the shamans drinking their piss, and then they're like tripping, and they're like the red and white is like these flying reindeer, these like white bearded old maniac shamans, like just giving the gift of like knowledge, basically is like these oldest lore of like Santa, which was like Saturnalia in these Greek times, and then it's like
they'd sneak through like the chimney to like deliver like the psychedelic like gift, basically.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. It's
and there's that like warmth that I'll.
That's where like Santa has nothing to do with like Jesus or Christianity.
Yeah, he has stuff to do with like tripping nuts.
It's actually like you gotta be tripping.
Big fan of Santa as like a satyr wild.
Yeah, just like a mushroom. Dealer.
Yeah,
a shaman.
Well, we talked about like Merlin and Santa are like they're like live the same life basically. Like Merlin also like did all these basically this practice to find like the Grail, which was like like enlightenment. Like that's what that is.
Shamanistic.
So I think Santa also like is an enlightened being, I guess. Because this actually is releasing. I didn't do anything up top. This is releasing on the 24th of December.
Oh, cool.
This is episode 66.
Nice, dude.
Happy Christmas Eve.
Yeah, happy 66. I'm gonna do just a little 6 there. Happy Demon Christmas. Just so you know, just a little bit of Santa talk there. Yeah. Then Bob Dylan also made a deal with the devil. He just straight up did. He just said he did about anyway. And then people talk about Jimi Hendrix as well. They talk. I mean, it's like I don't know. You just look at it's hard. That's like what I said, like with the tongue in cheek stuff. It's like how many of them at this point were just like Dawson said. If these people do these deals and can come back from the crossroads and give this like enlightenment into the huge like human consciousness, like the hive mind of us, like then I think at this point in human history, not as many people would need to make the deal because we kind of have this like a little bit of it, So like, who knows?
That technology, being able to learn for yourself, teach yourself, like there's stuff that people are doing on guitar today that like nobody would
people would know they're demonic.
You see stuff and it's like this doesn't even make sense in my mind.
And a lot of that's fear. But I do think that the knowledge aspect of it, the forbidden Promethean flame, the
Yeah.
light bringer,
Yeah.
like all that coming to humanity is like a big part of it.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
it's good for the arts.
Do you think it's like something we all kind of have in us, or do you think some people maybe don't have it?
Well, as you know, like I'm also a very accomplished artist.
Yeah.
Doing art is not learning how to actually use your hand. You have the dexterity enough to write your name on the line. It's learning how to see.
Yeah.
And once you have the knowledge behind it, it's all just learning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and being able to stay inspired, get the knowledge, and retain it is that's all that brings in the demonic qualities.
Definitely.
So
Let's talk about ways to get that knowledge then. Specifically, scrying mirrors. I have a little bit about that because it went all the way back to like Egypt times. Tanner, you mentioned it briefly. I just wanted to lay out a few examples of it, I guess, and we can go from there if we have any more. This is just like I want to give, even though I'm saying probably not to do it, I also want to give people the tools to like if they want to use like that kind of like that thought process you were doing, like use some of these scrying mirror techniques I'm about to say. I'm sure you have a ton more ritual techniques, as do I. Like, we'll just give people some examples here. Like, okay, so scrying mirrors are often made from black obsidian, polished metal, or black glass. All right, they're used to
should be obsidian.
So should be obsidian for sure. I did read like if you just painted a mirror black because you're super poor and you can't afford a rock, I guess that's fine too. The devils will accept it. But try to get that obsidian. Just get a sick hunk of obsidian is like the coolest thing you can have in your house for so many reasons.
Nice.
That's just good for your home, like spiritually. So it's like some basic things you can do with scrying mirrors. You can use it to see glimpses of the future, insight into the present, or connection with spiritual dimension. Basically, talking to these like beings at different planes of existence.
So the way that I go with the scrying mirror, I have the obsidian mirror. Mine's not very large. It's about big enough for a face, which is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Because you have a dim light, typically candlelit. Black candles work best.
Yep.
Looking into the scrying mirror, you kind of just like soften your gaze and stare at yourself. And eventually what will happen is like you'll start to lose sight of yourself. But because you have the same features as your parents, you'll start to see like parents, you can see dead relatives, grandparents, stuff like that. And if you could stay focused and meditated enough to push past that, then demons could reveal themselves to you that way.
Cool.
So it's one of my favorite ways to communicate.
Nice.
Cool. That's a simple enough thing for people to do because like we've been given some like pretty intense ways to do. We talked about like fucking Osmond Spare's like chaos magic way, like he calls it the death pose, where you're just tensing every muscle in your body and like looking in the mirror for as long as possible until you just go insane, basically, and like you just can like pass out. People just like lose blood, basically, just like that kind of way. Or it's the same thing, just simple meditation. There's ways to do this, right?
Blood helps. Incense. Like certain demons will be drawn to certain smells. The setting, my room, I don't have any sunlight touching it. Was always told like if you're doing a satanic ritual, sunlight shouldn't touch that room for 3 days. So blackout curtains, like I put posters in the windows, like it's totally dark.
Hell yeah. Good tip for sure. If we're looking back at like, just checking on the ancient stuff again, they use it back in Egypt. Back then they had what did they actually use? Well, I'll tell you what so in ancient Greece, the oracles would use basically reflecting pools. And that's like the classic like oracle thing. These reflecting pools. In Egypt specifically, they'd also use like bowls of water to do it. Or like certain polished stones and things. Medieval Europe, that's where sorcerers employed like actual mirrors at this point for divination. China, its first recorded examples around 3000 BCE. Just right around the Mesopotamia era. In Egypt, they're using it as early as 2500 BCE. In Greece, employed in 2000 BCE. So like about 6,000 years old again. These like tried and true methods, like these. I just really like when I see ritual magic being transferred like verbatim, like 7,000 years. Like that means it's very powerful. That means it's real. That's how I know it's real.
Another note for safety for viewers, listeners. Scrying mirror should be covered.
Yes,
mine is not. So I leave that open for you if you need to wake me up at 3:30.
Cool. Come at you.
3:33.
I was almost gonna say, like with a lot of these, like it's almost like where you want to leave it. Like it's almost like with Alice's thing, like he didn't close the portal, but it's like for some people that's probably good. Like I don't know, like if you want to use those demons in your own way, then so I had to hear that if you cover it in silk, that's best apparently. But covering it up or leaving it open if you just want that like that portal to like be there. Like if it's just like maybe you just want to like create this like zone for people to metaphysical beings to like come through in and out, basically. Because sky mirrors are just seen as portals, these like unseen metaphysical gateways, right? Yeah, Egyptian mirrors were made from polished copper, bronze, silver. Um, there was goddesses like Hathor and Mut. They presided over like gold and silver, which were basically what they had for mirrors back then. That gold and silver mirrors represented the sun and the moon, like these cosmic aspects again. Um, there was also a sacred mirror dance that they performed, which would just like throw like sunlight, like catch sunlight and just throw it all over the room. Basically, it probably would look really cool, and I bet it would summon some demons up. Right? Like some crazy, like
cool.
some like Egyptian temple. Someone's like bouncing light every which way because there's like one pinpoint in the temple that's like the perfect time of the day where it comes through. You know.
Right. Well, that goes against the sunlight thing, though.
That's well. So this is so working with different demons, right? Or different like not demons, different like things at this point, right? But you're right. Definitely,
entities,
if you're specifically trying to get at some of these like named demons in like Solomon's Key or beyond, definitely, I think Tanner's advice is spot on. Some of these, I guess, like some of these like more ancient Egyptian like gods, like those like Hathor and Mut, like those are not like at all seen as like demonic. Those are just like some people. Like those are. I'm just like throwing the mirror aspect into it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you said, fucking create a fucking dark environment, enter that trance state, gaze into that mirror. You already said it. I have it down here, but it's like, yeah. Make sure to be respectful and clear when communicating with these entities, right?
Don't be a dick, for sure.
Yeah, scrying for demonic contact requires patience, practice, and respect for the entities involved.
Yeah.
In medieval alchemy, there was belief that infernal spirits or demons could be summoned to help with transmuting of metals or the pursuit of immortality. There was an alchemist named Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa who wrote about spirits or angels that could assist in magical operations. And then John Dee, a famous occultist and alchemist, became obsessed with communicating with spirits, some of whom were demonic. Those are just some examples of like people throughout history that were just like...
I believe he used the crystal ball for scrying.
Sure. Which, also super sick if you can get a hold of one. But then like just a brief bit, like because there's demonology in like every culture. So like in Africa and Caribbean folklore, they're called jumbies and doopies. These like they're just like these. It's their own demonological lore, but then all that then gets folded into stuff like voodoo. There's like Caribbean magic, which is all. Voodoo seems very close to some of these things too. I went to New Orleans one time, but we did like all these like went to like the Voodoo Museum and like went on these tours for it. I know next to nothing, but I learned enough to be like to know that it is just like an exact translation of Christianity, like morphing with like some of these African traditions to like create its own thing. Which means that the demons involved are the same things, just like we were talking about throughout time.
I moved there. I lived there for 3 years. And it's fucking wild.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah,
like there's a reason that people say it's like some of these cities like there's a reason. It's like because like there's like we're saying demons can like have certain like territories that are around like that NOLA place, man. It's like. When the European colonizers encountered indigenous religions too, like any of these Native American religions, all those local deities were reinterpreted as demons, basically. Like they just became demons in some way or another. Fuck. I got more here, but honestly, how are we feeling? Like, what's the temperature in the room right now? Is there anything else you want to specifically go over, Tan? I want to have you back for sure. I want to do a Norse episode with you.
Yeah.
Get our reoccurring demonologist.
We didn't really touch on sigils.
Yeah. Okay. I have. Let's do it. Let's do it. Do you want to like lay that out? How you work with them.
Each demonic entity would have their own sigil and their own specific end, their own chant.
Got some ends here.
If you find those, if like that home practicer is going to go home and summon demons after listening to this. That's a very big important part of it. I'd also recommend looking up like certain altar pieces, sacrificial blades, really important. There's a chalice, black candles, like I was saying, and then what I would do, if you're making deals and stuff like that, usually what I'll do is just like I'll leave offerings on my altar. If I find some kind of like cool stone, whether it's obsidian, moldavite, something that is like I think they would like this. Wet specimen, animals, like any kind of bones, skulls, stuff like that. I'll just put that there as an offering, not even expecting anything. Like, hey, this is for you.
Yeah.
Like,
you shouldn't expect something, right?
I got this.
Man.
And then I feel like that builds up like a really good relationship.
Totally.
So my relationship with, like, hey, like I really need help right now. It's like that's always like a positive thing, and it should be more for asking for help than just like
thing.
do the work yourself, get as far as you can, and then reach out.
Totally.
You know?
That's like my journey with Loki this year. Like I do specific like fire and like incantation stuff and like specific offerings of like he really likes just like food, so just like any like not even leftover, but just like make an extra
Or you
little
can
serving.
do artwork.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Any like well, okay, because Loki is this again this like fire deity, right? Is what it links back to these like ancient like fire thing, this Promethean like knowledge giver that's kind of going against the grain, which is like a lot of demon things seem to be too. It's like this warmth, it's like fire. There's a reason that it's like this warmth. I brought it up at the beginning because it's such a simple thing, but there's a reason that it's like physically obviously important and like spiritually there's like a spiritual warmth that you get from these like higher level interactions, right? So like with just like picking if the at home practitioner wants to just like pick a specific demon to like work with for a while, like not touching anything, but just to like maybe
Build
like
up a
buy
relationship.
Solomon's Key, find one of the demons in there that seems to like have some of the specifics that you want to work with.
Or there's practicing magicians. If you find somebody legit, they could do sigil work for you. I had a magician actually design my own sigil. Which is huge.
Yeah, then you can like kind of that's like for self empowerment too, and kind of being able to work with that. There's a lot of like, building sigils your own. I don't know if we've really gone into that.
Off for the camera.
Yeah, get that in there. Hell yeah,
nice.
That's Tansy sigil.
Yeah, get a sigil made and then fully tattoo it on you.
Yeah.
That means you are definitely committed. That's fucking badass. There are so like I'd say get a sigil book just to check out, just to be like, oh, these are cool. Start like one thing you could do is like like I was gonna say like you could draw it on like your palm, like get a fucking tattoo of it.
And I've seen sigils like that work too. There's a lot of black magic stuff that you could do with sigils where you actually just draw it on yourself. For that day and focus your energy into it. And
that can help with like lucid dream work too, where if you have these sigils on your body, you can like reimagine them on your like lucid being, like because we've talked in the past about like a lot like you can if you want to get like real metaphysical with it, like practicing these within your dream realm, like doing these incantations, but like in your dreams to like almost like have an extra barrier of like a safety circle around it, might be a good idea if you're good at lucid dreaming. Like that's like what I always go back to is like anytime I'm trying to practice something, I'm just like draw it on my hand for a week. That's how I first learned to like lucid dream. I just like the first time I just drew like an A on my hand, and it was like you look at your hand in your dream, and then like when you started seeing the A, it's like I'm dreaming, but I'm here, and it's like kind of summoning in it. So if you did that with a sigil, and you work with a demon in your fucking dream state on that different level, I think that's probably cool.
That'd probably be closer to the DMT.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's
totally.
like what
Totally.
it is,
Totally. Yeah. I have a couple specific ends. That's Tanner actually taught me like the vocabulary for that, because I was looking at like with the Saturn worship episode, we're looking at different chants and resonances, like from planetary resonances to like the sounds of like monastic chants in specific temples built to like resonate that way. Yeah, all this.
Well, there's the Lucifers, and it's Renistasa Ubaraka Biaska Ikar Lucifer, and
say that a couple more times into the mic.
bring him forth.
Yeah,
stare at a candle and look like intensely in the flame, just repeating that and. In the right set, get your incense going, black candle, make sure that everything is absolutely right. You're in the right mindset for it. You don't want to do it when you're feeling off, it's not just an experiment or anything like that. And that and repeated.
I'm like, I hope nobody's fucking radio is skipping on that. It's like, it's like, ding, 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 like, oh no, it's happening. I have just a couple other ends, and like I think like getting close to like a specific resonance for that, or like that like prayer tone where you're just like offering
the perfect hertz.
Those I have them all here, but I'm just gonna mash them up in my mouth. So I would say like all this information is basically out there. Like as far as like forbidden knowledge, like you can sort of find it. I'd say if you have trouble, definitely email us pumpkinhillradio@gmail.com. I can fucking ask Tanner any questions I don't know, but like there's this information is available enough. It's not like it's like
any like resources you have, like books or anything you'd recommend.
I found so much bullshit.
That's the other.
There's
thing.
a lot of traps.
It's with any of this research. Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking trace all of it.
As old as you could get, I have my name on a bunch of lists at like, just oddity shops and stuff like that. If anything like super old and occult comes through, like I'm like one of the first people to get a call. So it's
nice.
let me see what this is about. I think that's been like the best way.
Totally.
Doing self research, like I said, I couldn't tell you what a demon like. What its origin is it an interdimensional being? Is it a banished angel? Like I prefer to think of it banished angel.
Yeah.
Just because that to me says an angel with fucking common sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
but yeah, like as far as personal experience, that's the best way to get the research for it. There are some cool websites and things like that too that I could leave you with for the after comments.
Yeah, we can at least put it in the description or something.
Yeah.
Just because, yeah, it is like that's a thing. Whenever you're doing any research, but like a lot with like occultism, like there's so much gatekeeping and like misinformation about stuff. All that the classical like I have
just
new
like
is not I have new. Like you might be reading a
Just
document
spiritual traps too.
completely coded.
You know?
So
Yeah.
like what you're reading isn't what you're actually reading, and it's
You get,
spiritual
like,
traps. You don't want
Led
to
down
devote your
certain
energy.
ways, and you just get stuck.
Or greed, you know. Like
Yeah,
even Anton LaVey, the Satanic Bible, he was
Yeah.
an atheist.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like
Poser.
poser.
Yeah. I think that's unanimous. Fuck that guy.
With these ends, these satanic ends, they're typically channeled at a certain vibration or like hertz if you can find that. They're all associated with different demons. You can basically find those out there. I'd say working with those and the sigils and the scrying mirrors is a really good bet to find something if you want to, right? It also points towards like a demonic language. Like I like the idea
I
of
was about to comment on that.
Yeah.
The interesting part about it is it's not part of like any other language.
no, it's not
You know,
Latin. It's not like it's like a Latin,
where
right?
it's its own.
That's what I was finding. I was like trying to like translate these like back from Latin. I'm like, oh, that's not Latin. This is like some weird like archaic
It's actually
it's a demon language.
demon.
Yeah, so that's like cool to interpret. I was reading people like there's like rules to the language like any other one. Like there's people that are studying like different ends, and they're like these are like not necessarily the translations of what they mean, but it's like you can see patterns in them and stuff, which is like so it's not just like mashing the keyboard. It's like this is like these are built off something.
Fine-tuned.
So yeah, finding this demonic language shit was pretty interesting. That's like maybe a different episode. Well, like that and like true names of things. Like there's like such a magic to like like language, I guess. Like this like wording, how you call something is crazy important.
Yeah.
Fuck. I think I'm good here. I don't know. I want Tanner to play maybe some more music if he wants to.
Yeah,
we have more on this shit, but it's like, I think I wanted to just overlay some crazy demon stuff. Do your own research again.
We can always do it like a part 2.
We will.
Pick up where we left off.
We're
Patreon, maybe get deeper in it with some Patreon. You know,
definitely.
We're not
I'll hang out
liable.
with you guys again.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, before you play us out, Tan, I just want to say thanks for coming on. This has been like very insightful. We've needed like an expert demonologist here for a while.
Yeah.
I'm just
So,
like
I think-
shooting.
And
Me and Travis have like a very surface level, not even surface level, but like
I wouldn't call myself demonologist, but the work that I have done has brought me closer to him.
You're the closest
you know.
person.
you're
I
a
know.
practitioner.
Because I study like so many like different topics that I don't like really get into the granulars of like every single one until I get to like episodes like this, which is cool. I can like open it up a little bit, but like as like the
Cool.
chaos magician part of me, I'm like just find as much
Answers a lot
theological
more,
like and as many pantheons I can play with as possible. But like it's really focusing. I'm gonna definitely do some demon work over the next as the year comes to a close. I think like doing some like
good
closing
time to
up the
start
shop,
practicing,
closing up the shop type spells and just some like new beginning type spells might be in order for me.
Solstice rituals, you know.
Real quick, I just want to say, rate us 5 stars wherever you can. pumpkinhillradio@gmail.com for all your questions. For if you want to know any more demon stuff, I can I got Tanner's email, so I could even forward your questions to Tanner. Support our Patreon. I mentioned it like 7 times.
Forward the hate mail.
I'll let you send it back if it seems like I should.
Dude.
So we've done a lot of cool Patreon content lately. We just started a once or twice monthly alien news update. Instead of putting the random alien news in the horror this week section,
Because it just becomes like a half hour.
We're just calling it like invasion
off,
news because it's just there's so much alien stuff happening every day now that we're just folding it into like 20 to 40 minute episodes of just straight to the meat of it. No,
just updates, anything we're finding, because a lot of it doesn't. You're not gonna see it on like the nightly news headlines. It's like gonna be on like the very bottom like scroll,
or
if that
for like just a day, and then the 24
like
hours.
like do it once, just to do it. But
so definitely, and then check the Patreon, patreon.com/pumpkinhillradio. Check the Etsy, pumpkinhillradio.etsy.com for pins, prints, and more. A lot of good deals there right now. We take some Dubby before this.
Yeah,
Dubby's our partner.
Dubby.
Touch out Dubby. You can get 10% off at dubby.gg by using code StarMother at checkout. Definitely do that. And I'm going to definitely tag Dubby in that little part. It's the first time we shouted about it with the video. So Dubby, we're looking at you. We do this every fucking week, man.
Dude, send us some merch. We'll wear it.
Again, this has been really super insightful. I love like having somebody besides just us to talk. I love the episodes with just me and Dawson, but it's just like the information only goes so far with just us two, like researching. So having somebody come on with all this is really cool.
Some good knowledge.
We built like 3 more episodes we got to fucking research just based on this stuff now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll have you back for
Oh, yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Any last things you want to say before busting out some fucking licks on that sick guitar?
No, thank you guys for having me.
Fuck
Yeah,
That was
hell
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's been a
man.
blast.
So, yeah.
Sweet.
Thank you. This is Pumpkin Hill Radio. I've been Travis Wormwood. This is Dawson Trailer. Got Tanner on guitar. He's going to play us out. Got some demonic fucking licks.
Well,
Yeah.
put Paganini.
Yeah.
Damn. If that
Yeah,
wasn't
dude.
fucking infernally inspired, I don't know what is. For sure. Thank you for fucking laying that out.
Fucking
Fuck yeah, dude.
sick,
Hell of an episode. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks again, Tan, for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So fucking sick. See you next time, everybody.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.